Hey guys, I'm Sage, and this is the Iconic Dollcast. On this podcast, I'll be talking about iconic dolls and their cultural impact over time. As a longtime doll collector, I thought it would be interesting to go back and research all about the dolls that I grew up with. This includes everything from Barbie to Britney, all the way to American Girls, and so much more. I specialize in making customized versions of the Britney Spears doll. If you haven't yet, give me a follow on Instagram, Britney Spears Custom Dolls, on TikTok, Britney Spears Dolls, and Twitter, B Spears Dolls. You can also follow the official podcast Instagram, Iconic Dollcast. So I don't really know what I'm doing with this podcast or where it will go, but when I started considering making a podcast, I couldn't decide if I wanted to take the more formal route or the more casual route. So in the first few episodes, you might hear a little bit of both. As a longtime doll collector and podcast listener, I thought it'd be interesting to research the history of some of my favorite doll lines. Today, we are talking about what I think is the most iconic doll line ever, and that is Britney Spears. I'm obsessed with Britney Spears. I have been a fan of her for so long. I was so fortunate to have several of her dolls growing up, and this is crazy, you guys. There was like 30 to 40 different Britney dolls produced, released, and sold. As I've been building my collection, it's just been an amazing adventure trying to track all of them down, which I do not have all of them, but I do know some people who do, and their collections are insane. So, as I was growing up, I really loved Britney. I still do, and I really loved the Britney doll. And like I said, I had many of them, but I did not know that eventually customizing these same dolls would become a very huge part of my life 20 years later. I have been running my Instagram account for about 4 years now, almost 5 actually, and I started it because I was bored over winter break and decided I wanted to make myself my own Britney doll because I had found one of my old Britney dolls in a box when I was helping move stuff out of my grandparents' house. Anyway, so I found the doll and I decided that I wanted to make my own customized version of it and give her a little update with rerouted hair and a brand new costume that was never produced by the doll line. Was it good? Absolutely not. But I really had a good time doing it. And so my friend was like, hey, you should start an Instagram account. I was like, what? Why? She was like, because people will follow you. People will like that. And little did I know, I started my Instagram, Britney Spears Custom Dolls, and it just sort of took off. And since then, I have made over 600 Britney dolls. I have done, I think, 400 some costumes, and have just had the time of my life with it. So today, I am so excited to talk about the Britney doll and how it was put together and the successes that it had. And I'm just so excited to deep dive into this with all of you. Basically, if you were born between the years of, I don't know, like 1987 and 1993, you probably had some type of relationship with Britney Spears, the artist. I mean, she was huge. She was everywhere. And she got to that iconic status where you would have your own doll made of you pretty immediately after her album came out, Baby One More Time. So the doll was produced by a toy company called Play Along Toys in 1999, and it was a Florida-based toy company, and the founders were named Charlie MB, I hope I'm saying that right, Jay Foreman, and Larry Geller. And as they were starting this toy company, they actually chose the Britney Spears doll line as their first licensing venture because they knew the brand potential that Britney Spears had. Like I said, her career had just taken off and it went from 0 to 100 overnight. Like, she was the biggest thing on the planet when Baby One More Time finally hit. One of the designers, Jay Foreman, actually also helped form and engineer the success of the Spice Girl dolls with toy maker Galoob, which earned over $150 million during its run. And that is insane. It is the most successful celebrity doll line ever made, and Britney Spears comes in second, which I understand because, I mean, the Spice Girls were a cultural phenomenon, and so is Britney, right? But I feel like the audiences had shifted a little bit since the Spice Girl dolls came out. Not by much, but I'm guessing that's why the Spice Girls ranked number one. So the creator's goal was to basically one-up Barbie. They wanted to market to an older preteen audience, which makes sense because that was Britney's main fan base, right? In an interview in 1999, one of the designers said, "Barbie sells to girls. Britney is the next level." Can't argue with that. Girls won't play with her like Barbie. They will display her. And the creators were so right. The first set of Britney dolls were released on October 15th, 1999, and sold over 800,000 units. And to this day, the Britney Spears doll line has sold over 5 million dolls worldwide. And like I said, is the second best-selling celebrity doll line after the Spice Girls. Just thinking back to my childhood, I'm definitely going to say the first set of dolls are the most iconic. Are they the best ones? No, but they are ones I remember seeing them in the store, and I remember buying them and getting my hands on that Britney doll and just loving life. And the first ones that were made were the Baby One More Time school outfit. They had the white sometimes costume, and then they also had the waitress for You Drive Me Crazy. And I'm pretty sure at the same time, the other You Drive Me Crazy outfit was also released with the green top. So while I was doing my research for this episode, I found some information about the way Britney felt about the first doll mold or prototype, we'll say, that they showed her. And apparently she was just not about it and said that the doll resembled a bulldog chewing a wasp, which that is quite a description. And I guess she hated it. And so they went back and redid the head mold and I guess represented it to her. And she was much happier with the second option and said she was so excited for her mom and sister to see it and that she thought the doll was beautiful and she wishes she was that beautiful, which, Britney girl, you are so beautiful. So your doll is beautiful too, but I think you've got her beat. Also, we, as a Britney fan, we just know how humble she is, and I guess she also felt really bad about not liking the first one, but kind of had a cheeky response and was like, "Hey, it's my doll though." You know, and I get that. Like, there are some celebrity dolls, guys, that are just awful. And some of them we'll get into on this. Like the Taylor Swift doll, in my opinion, is just so bad. And it was also produced by Play Along Toys, which is interesting because I think the Britney Spears doll is so cute. So it's not easy for celebrity dolls to come out right, but I definitely feel like Britney's did, and I think it was important for her to be on board with what they were selling to people. I mean, it's her doll, it's her likeness, and I'm so glad she spoke up about it because I truly do think the dolls turned out really good. So basically these dolls came out and by December of 99, which I get 2 months, right? 2 months after they had premiered, the first set of dolls had completely sold out in the United States and sold an additional 60,000 units when they were released in the UK. This is crazy numbers. And I remember when the Britney doll came out and, I had gotten mine and then I just started seeing them everywhere. It was very similar to the Spice Girls. So you could get those dolls anywhere and they were all displayed and they had so many different options and they basically flew off the shelves and I totally get why. Aside from the Spice Girls, I don't feel like there was a whole lot of these celebrity doll lines and culture was moving away from Barbie at the time, which Barbie has done such a good job of evolving. But at the time, I really feel that Barbie was, not as popular anymore. And the Britney doll was such a different type of doll. Like, it wasn't as much of a play doll as Barbie, but you could put your own concerts on with the doll. You could dress her up in all her outfits. And it really made you feel like you were connecting with your favorite pop star who is a real person, Barbie's great, but she's not real. So it was a whole new type of play on a different type of level. And I just remember being obsessed with it. So obviously, after the first set of dolls were released, they were super successful and Play Along just kept following up the release with several different collections that included music video looks, tour looks from commercials, and basically anything that Britney was doing at the time. There's even one of her at the Crossroads premiere. And they also had some really random ones, which I love, like some costumes from her Baby One More Time tour that weren't as, at the time we didn't have social media. So the way we got information was so different. You'd have to look in magazines and we weren't getting things so instantly. So when magazines were covering Britney's tour, we would only see a few outfits. We wouldn't see them all. And this toy line did a really great job of incorporating, iconic looks, but also stuff for the diehard fans. And I just love that. I also want to kind of mention the quality of the dolls is actually quite good. The retail price was what, like $10 to $14. It's not meant to be a high quality. It's a play doll, right? Aside from the limited edition porcelain doll that they released, like these dolls were fashion dolls that were meant to be played with. And I have to be honest, I've been collecting dolls a long time, and I think that the way Play Along executed this doll line was really good. And not everything is perfect. I mentioned it earlier, but like there is one random doll. It's supposed to be from the Crossroads premiere, and it's this like pink dress she wore. I believe it had a lot of sequins on it, and there's like 30 to 40 different costumes that you could get the Britney doll in, and the only miss for me is that Crossroads doll. I just don't think it translated as well as the others. But other than that, the rest of them are phenomenal. And do they get everything exact like a custom doll would get you? No, but it's a play doll, right? So Britney wears a lot of intricate things, and you have to remember that these companies had to make these costumes well, but they also had to be made so that they could be played with. So, there is some details missing and whatnot, but overall, I just think the fashion that they were able to do for these dolls was really excellent. There's a lot of cool things about these dolls, but one of the most interesting is that some of these dolls have become quite valuable. And so the doll line ran basically from Baby One More Time to Dream Within a Dream tour. And the first few dolls released are actually quite easy to get because they were so successful. Like I said, what did it say? 800,000 were sold within the first couple months. So those ones are very common, but as time went on, Britney's audience started to grow, and I'm thinking that the doll sales became a little less than they were. And so as you go, the dolls nowadays, they get more expensive, and there's a couple of them that could easily go for like $700 on auction through eBay. It's insane. Instagram has a ton of Britney Spears fans on it, and you can go through some of these people's collections, and they literally have like 100 plus Britney Spears dolls, and they're all in their boxes, and you can see a lot of them look the same, but if you look closer, you'll see like an accessory is switched out, or she's got a different head mold or a different hair color. They just made so many variations, which is an incredibly smart marketing plan, right? There's just endless amounts of collectible value in these dolls that, I mean, I said earlier, you can literally bid on some of these and they'll go for like $700. Especially the later dolls that were produced, like they're much more difficult to get because I don't think the doll line produced as many as they did in the beginning. So as the dolls get, I guess you could say, newer, they get more valuable, and just some of them are incredibly hard to find. After Play Along Toys' massive success with the Britney doll, they went on to release similar celebrity doll lines, including Aaron Carter, 18s, Dream, Mandy Moore, Serena Williams, and later on Hannah Montana and other assorted Disney Channel stars like the Cheetah Girls. In 2008, they also did a line of Taylor Swift dolls. Not their best work. Sales for these dolls were great, but never compared to their original release of the Britney Spears doll line. The dolls were also released overseas and were majorly successful over there, and just a personal story, I had the Baby One More Time doll, and I literally loved that doll. And I went on a family trip to Norway. That's where my grandma's side of the family comes from, so she took us there. And I must have been going into fourth grade or something. And the Britney dolls were just massive at the time. And so I had the Baby One More Time one, and I think I had a You Drive Me Crazy and a Sometimes Too at the time. But anyway, we went to Norway and we were shopping, and I saw a Born to Make You Happy music video doll, which was released in the States, but the song was a single overseas and not in America. So the song wasn't big here. And I had never seen that doll on the shelves. It was the silver, like, liquid costume. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't, check out our video for Born to Make You Happy. It's a stunning outfit. And I remember seeing it in Norway, and I think that they got that doll before America did because it was a single over there. I'm not sure on that, but I had never seen it before. So it was so cool to find Britney in another country and get something that I felt at the time was super exclusive. And that goes back to, again, the incredible marketing idea that Play Along Toys had with this doll, and the success that they had with it was because they just did such a great job making sure the dolls were out there, they were promoted, you could get different variations in different countries. Like, it's just so cool. In addition to the Play Along line, a company called, I think it's Yaboom, also released their own Britney Spears doll line, and these were pretty cool because they sang. So you could press their belly button and she would sing you a song, and it would be for whatever costume she was wearing. And these dolls retailed at between $30 and $40 at the time. So they were a little bit more expensive than the Play Along line, but they were super high quality. And one question that I have is I'm not totally sure if Play Along and Yaboom were two completely separate things. And I say this because the dolls look very similar. In addition to the Play Along and the Yaboom doll sets, a company called Toymax also made some singing cartridges that you could exchange with your Britney doll, as well as a few fashion packs. So if you already had a Britney doll, there were options to buy just one or two outfits on their own. And I think they did quite a few of those, but not as many as Play Along did. And again, I'm not sure if Toymax was involved with Play Along and Yaboom, if they were all working together, if they were all three separate entities. I'm not sure, and I am definitely curious to find out. So back to the original doll line, Play Along. In late 2001, the doll was given a new head mold with different shaped eyes and a thinner nose, and that'll later be known as the Pepsi doll mold. But what is actually really cool and interesting about the Britney doll line is I think they actually had closer to like six to eight different head molds that were used, and the doll kind of developed over time, and that there's many different variations of the face mold, and I think they're all pretty cute, but the Pepsi mold, as it's known, is drastically different from the rest. The other ones more or less look alike to each other and can be compared to each other, with the exception of like one, but the Pepsi doll mold is much different, and a lot of people don't like it, but to me, personally, it is my favorite one. And there's three different Pepsi dolls, and you'll notice that the Pepsi mold, I think they just rushed this out because some of them have really great detailed makeup, and some of them, their eyebrows are literally like yellow. Like the paint was running out, but they didn't have time to refill it because they got to get these dolls out. That's just my opinion on what happened, because some of them are not cute, but if you find a cute one, I think it's a really stunning doll and is very similar to what the real Britney Spears looks like. And so the last three dolls released were the Pepsi dolls, and those all were costumes from her recent Pepsi commercial that she had done and had the new face mold. Another thing that I really like about these dolls is that each one of them almost is unique, and it's hard to explain, but you'll never find a Britney doll with the exact makeup as another. Like, they did a lot of different variations with these, and it's super cool. Some look better than others, and some are harder to find, but if you start collecting Britney dolls, or you are a Britney doll collector, and you look closely, you'll notice that even if you have two Baby One More Time dolls, if you look at the dolls next to each other, something's going to be different about the face. And that makes what I do with the Britney customizing super interesting. And I really like that there's such a sense of uniqueness in these dolls that were mass produced. Like, you don't find that often. And I think it's pretty cool. So eventually, after the Pepsi dolls came out, production by Play Along on the Britney doll was discontinued, and that happened in late 2001. I read somewhere that there was a planned final line that was going to be based off of the Dream Within a Dream World Tour that was taking place at the time. And if you've seen that tour, the costumes are super intricate and super highly detailed and amazing. And it's unfortunate they didn't get around to doing those dolls, and I'm going to guess that's because sales had declined by this point. You know, Britney was growing up, her audience was growing up, and Barbie was, at the time, it kind of seemed like Barbie was on her way out. And fortunately, Barbie has just done a fantastic job of evolving over the last years. And, she's never really gone out of style, I don't think, but in 2001, 2, and 3, I really remember there being a time where Barbie just was not that girl, and people were moving on to other things. And like I said, Britney was growing up, and her audience was growing up. I'm not sure if the doll line had continued, one, how successful it would be, but also, Britney really matured for the In the Zone album in 2003, and I'm not sure how well those dolls would have translated to a young audience that was still buying dolls. So I think they stopped at the right time, but it's a shame that they didn't do that final last set from the tour that they were potentially planning on doing, because I think those would have looked really neat. And, it's so fun to custom make them, so I'm glad I get to make them. But it's always nice to see how doll companies and manufacturers make things work. And I really would have loved to see what Play Along could have done with a set of tour dolls from the Dream Within a Dream tour. I think that would have been really cool. And then in 2020, the company Loote Create partnered with Britney Brands to produce and release a brand new version of the Baby One More Time schoolgirl outfit. Now, when I heard this was happening, I was so excited, just so thrilled that, 20 years later, we were going to get a new Britney doll. Technology has changed so much since then, like, it's going to be amazing. And I ordered something that there was no preview of. When the doll went on sale, it was super weird, and I just didn't think about it at the time, but there was no prototype. There was nothing to show you what you were getting. They just said, pre-order now, coming soon, Britney Spears Doll by Loote Create. And so I ordered mine, and several people that I know did, and a couple weeks went by, a few months, and then I think we were like down to a year and a half, nothing, heard nothing. The Loote Create just kept delaying the release. And so finally, like a year and a half after pre-ordering this doll that no one had seen, a picture leaked of I'm going to say prototype of the doll. Now, for doll collectors and people who do doll research, you know that when doll images of prototypes are released for the ads and the campaigns, they look really good. And a lot of the times the final product does not look as good as it does in the photos, right? But this doll just was not cute. I could not believe it when I saw it, but I was like, maybe they're going to change things before it finally gets released. So I'm just like, just wait it out. Let's see what happens. So after this leaks, the Loote Create finally updates their website, shows the doll, doesn't look better, even in a high quality image, in my opinion. Kind of disappointing, but hey, let's see what it looks like in real life. Well then, again, a few weeks go by, a few months, and I find out on social media that Loote Create in 2022, so I think it was almost 2 years to the date of the pre-order, starting with these dolls. I see on social media that Loote Create is sending out emails saying that the doll has been canceled and they won't be producing it. But if you purchase the doll, we'll send you a bunch of leftovers from the Britney crates, basically that we haven't sold. And these crates are just, in my opinion, cheap, like cash grabs. Like, I wanted the doll, but I did not order anything else from this website because I just didn't think it looked cute. And so they're telling people, and I have seen these emails, I also received one later, that sorry, we can't give you this product that you paid for, but we're going to send you some old leftovers instead. Like, to me, that is so sketch. I couldn't believe it when I saw people getting this. And then I was also just flabbergasted that I had not received anything. And so a couple weeks later, I got my email saying the same thing. And I responded and I was like, I don't want your leftovers. I wanted this doll. You're not selling it to me. And I would like my money back. And they refused to respond. And I have seen and heard, this is all just word of mouth, that they've done this with several people. I have sent Loote Create 5 emails and never received a response. It's all automated. I still, to this day, to my knowledge, have not received a refund. And at the end of the day, I'm glad the doll was canceled. It did not look cute. I can only guess that the reason there were so many delays with it are because of all of the legal issues that were and are still going on with Britney Spears at the time, with her conservatorship and her brand deals and her business managers and firms and how all that was connected. So I'm going to say that, in my opinion, I'm guessing that's what happened. There was just too many issues with deals and money and conservatorships ending and business managers leaving that the doll just, they couldn't finish it. But I could also see that, from what I know now, it would not surprise me if these deals were made and these pre-orders were put out before a product was even discussed. Get all that money while you can, because Britney's gonna be free soon. So we gotta make this cash come in as quick as we can. Just put the doll up, and who cares? They're gonna buy it anyway. And I just don't think they thought that out. And that's just my opinion. I don't know if that's what happened, but to have potentially thousands and thousands of people buying a product that there's no even preview image for, something sketch is going on. And I don't know what happened, but I guess I'm glad it's not coming out. So that sucked, but hey, it's probably for the best. And hopefully one day we will get a new limited edition Britney Spears fashion doll. You know, I would love that. Collectors live for that. I would live for that. I know so many people who would live for that. So hopefully one day it happens. And when it happens, hopefully it is, you know, something that Britney Spears is on board with and has been asked to participate in, and something that she supports. Other than dolls, though, you know, in 2018, Funko began releasing pop figures resembling iconic Britney looks, including the Baby One More Time, Oops, I Did It Again, let's see, Toxic, Slave for You, and circus costumes. And I'm not totally sure, but it really seems like Britney's Funko Pop line must be so successful, because I can't think of another musician who has that many different versions of themselves in a Funko Pop. You know, I know Michael Jackson has had a few, and maybe Prince, and probably many others, but I haven't seen them. And just with Britney, it just seems like she's had so many. And then, I mean, I don't know if this is true, but I did read that there's a possibility of them doing another one themed after Blackout. I can't confirm that, but it just seems like, you know, everyone just loves Britney, and her merch, especially like figures, are just always so successful, and people just want to keep getting their hands on them because they keep putting new ones out. And it just seems to be the toy world seems to be really successful for her, even in the year 2022, which is pretty neat and really shows you how iconic Britney Spears is. So those are just some of the facts that I could find about the Britney Spears doll. Thanks for listening, guys. I knew when I decided to create a podcast, this would be the first doll line I talked about, for obvious reasons. I loved having these when I was growing up because I just think the creators were totally on point. You know, I definitely played with Barbies growing up, but I remember getting the Britney doll, and it just somehow felt just so different. I didn't necessarily play with her, but I did display her, and I liked having her around. And I was very lucky to have quite a few of them growing up. But also I feel so lucky to have, you know, refound my passion for it. And I started recollecting them about 6 years ago. And it's, like I said in the beginning, it's just been so fun to find these dolls and just see how many variations there are and just have a blast collecting them. And, of course, I have Britney Spears Custom Dolls, which is my little side business that I created. And I've done like 600 Britney dolls at this point, I think, and 400 different costumes in doll form, and just have had such a fantastic time doing it. And I think it's because Britney is amazing. And her costumes are iconic, and they translate so well onto dolls. So I couldn't ask for a better hobby to fulfill my Britney obsessed life. So that's the episode, the history of the iconic Britney Spears doll. I hope you guys have enjoyed deep diving into this as much as I have. Like I said, I have no idea where this podcast is going to go. I don't know if it'll go anywhere. I don't know what the layout's going to be, but I'm just going to try and figure it out just by putting out episodes and seeing how you guys react to them. Next time, I'm going to be talking with super fan Peter, who just has the most amazing Britney Spears doll collection. I cannot wait to see how many he has, how long he's been collecting, and ask him some of the questions that I could not find while doing my own research. And hopefully we'll have some future episodes for you on different doll lines that I'm obsessed with, and I can't wait to see where this goes. So until then, you guys can check out my work on Instagram, Britney Spears Custom Dolls, TikTok, Britney Spears Dolls, and Twitter, B Spears Dolls. And if you like this episode and want to hear more, give my podcast Instagram a follow as well, at iconicdollcast, for more updates on new episodes and doll lines that I will be talking about in the future. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, month, year, whatever it is. I hope you're living your best life, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.